if we keep on nurturing it through the body, through the mind and energy, we keep on nurturing it. So I have a client, we've been working together for 10 years. 10 years. But it's like whenever we work together today, it feels like this brand new thing. But at the beginning, right, there was the feeling of that, that chronic, like, just this overall feeling of feeling down. This overall feeling of like just feeling depressed. This overall feeling of just irritable with people. But we develop this ability to be with it, right? Because at first you're just in the pattern, you don't realize it. Then you're starting to see the pattern and you're judging, and you're like, oh, this is bad. Like we start to judge it, we analyze it. And then there's this long period of observation, and we develop tools, right? We develop tools, and how do we just observe ourselves when we're in this freaking place? Because like the seed, we're going to just have to let it do its thing, right? Push its way. And what we developed together was a devotional discipline, where even though he was depressed, bored, maybe irritable, there was a continuation, that faith of continuing to come back to the practice, because there's part of him that knew it's not the full shebang, but hey, I actually can observe myself in my depression now. I don't necessarily get lost and caught, and sometimes I do. I can observe myself. Ooh, and then now it's like I do a class, and I actually like I can observe, like if I say something, like I remember saying something like feel I forgot what it was, feel your aliveness, and his kind of pattern, his mental pattern was like, so, like, but there was an observation. And yet, even though that was coming up, he continued to practice. And this is what we do. People on the healing journey, you all know, we'll just continue, because we somehow know inside of us there's some kind of potential here. There's some kind of growth if I stay on the path. So 10 years later, here we are, right? And all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, okay, not all of a sudden, 10 years. Okay, so I'm skipping, right? So I'm going from the beginning to sort of, okay, there was the continuous seedlings, this baby kind of places where it's like very raw, and if we didn't take care of it, that little baby seedling that grew a little bit would have died, right? If we don't take care of that little baby seedling, it kind of dies. So now, 10 years later, after a devotional discipline of practicing together consistently, there's a feeling of confidence, a feeling of curiosity for life, a feeling of like, oh, I'm curious about something. Now I actually have the courage to go do it. A feeling of like, oh my God, I was there before, where it's like, just not typical, but like, I'm traveling to New York, where it's before I wouldn't even be able to afford groceries. You know what I mean? Like just these kind of like, whoa, quantum leap recognitions of where you are now. And so I guess what my point is it is this bit by bit by bit. One, entering your shadow through the body. First, you're in the pattern where maybe you're just like irritated, and there's a physical manifestation. There's a certain nervous system that goes along with it. There's a certain anxiousness or depression or repression that goes along with it. Then there's your mental, right? There's a mental pattern of just like, okay, so what the fuck? I don't care. Like, So sometimes when you're in the light and you're in the dark and somebody says something in the light, if we're still kind of deep down buried in the dark, we might not necessarily receive it. We're just like, I don't know, I can't feel that, so I don't know what you're talking about, right? feel that. They can't feel it. So it's not, they can't reach what we're talking about. But they're like, but there's something there that I do want, so I'm going to continue. Then we start to see what happens in the mind, the patterning. And then the more we observe it, the more we can start to see how it speaks, how it talks, because there's certain parts of us, right? That part that was so young develops this voice, and because it developed in the unconscious at such a young age, you don't even realize like that's not even your voice. And the nervous system that functions from that place that is scared, that is anxious, that is depressed, is something that you weren't even aware of, right? Because something maybe happened physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically. And so this voice has it has certain words. So here's the thing, start to observe, like, what are the words that for you create these universes that bring you down a rabbit hole?